Welcome off the post, powered by Lights On Electric and Coverall Exteriors. We've got Anthony Mingione. And how are you?
Doing all right today, Russell. How are you?
I'm good. You said I was cantankerous, but I'm really not.
You are cantankerous, but let's continue.
Well, thanks for shaving for the show, too. And we have Mike Costello. Mike, how are you?
I never shave.
No, I mean, this is how you look. It's fine. We're used to that.
Yeah,
Anthony's usually clean shaven.
It's for me, and normally I'm clean shaven. I got a little bit of stubble today, so, it's the way
Fred
it is.
Flintstone kind of shadow.
Yeah, you didn't complain about our guest's beard on Monday, did you?
No, because
Okay,
he's a guest. You're not a guest. That's why.
Yeah.
All right.
These are the rules of engagement, apparently.
Yes. So a lot of new contracts. Jack Eichel just got, 12 and a half for 8?
13.
13.5. 8 years. Yep.
By 8, yeah. I mean, he just waited for everybody else, and they said, make sure you add another $1 million to that. And that's fine. I mean, Mike, what are people in Buffalo saying? Or what do you think they will say?
Well, I think what they're saying, and I wrote something for the Hockey News this morning, that the news that came out I mean, the Kaprizov signing is an outlier. I mean, Minnesota had a gun to their head and $17 million, that was what. But the Kyle Connor signing, and I think Kyle Connor is a better winger, a better scorer, more consistent scorer than Alex Tuch.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
But I didn't see the final number, and he was definitely over 12. They said 12
and a half.
12 and a half. Okay.
Yeah.
Alex Tuch was asking for, according to Pierre LeBrun, was asking for $10 million. And
at this point, he's going to get 10.
Well, he may get 10, but he might not get it from the Sabres because that seems to be the sticking point. It's like this was a couple weeks ago. This was before Kaprizov and before Connor and before McDavid and before Eichel. And now you've got 2 big name free agents next July 1st, Anthony. You've got Adrian Kempe and you've got Alex Tuch. Mm-hmm. And what's going to happen is these guys, if they remain free, pending free agents, they're either going to be traded, or B, they're going to get overpaid by either the teams that they're with or another team. Yeah.
Oh, that ballyhooed class of 2026 that everybody was getting excited about. And I was like, I'm not getting excited about it because with a rising cap, that just allows their teams that they're playing for to sign them to the contracts that that they want. It is what it is. At the end of the day, I know teams want to have cap space to be able to make moves. And the problem is now when their star players are immediately re-signed, then you get that itchy feeling in your pocket, like I got to spend money. And then you make the mistake of spending it in a way you probably shouldn't. And that's the thing I'm looking at here for, let's say, a team like, I don't know, the Flyers, who have already just added cap space for the coming year, for the next couple of seasons after dealing Ryan Ellis to San Jose. You have to be very, very careful of that. But the problem is your fan base also wants you to make dynamic moves. And unfortunately, the market is not going to play out necessarily that way.
Well, the problem here, Russ, is like everybody is going to have cap space because the cap is going up. Everybody's going to have cap space. And now you have a free agent pool that is diminished significantly. And okay, that means the players that go to July 1st are going to get overpaid. But at a certain point, there's not going to be any free agents because everybody's got money. And the only way you're going to get quality players is by trading for them. So, not
anymore, though. The market's drying up. It's going to become like NFL trades soon because if the cap keeps going up, there's no reason for teams to lose players anymore.
Yeah. And that again should put a refocus of teams on developing their guys and paying their own guys.
Yep.
Again, you could say Eichel was acquired through trade, but at the end of the day, that's really where it's at. You develop your guys, you develop them, and then you sign them to those. You sign them to those contracts.
Now you still can scout European free agents and guys like that, and occasionally you'll get one, and that does help the system. But I will say this: there are some GMs that I think now have to rethink their philosophy. Kent Hughes is one of them. Kent Hughes had a chance to sign
Lane Hudson.
Thank you. To $9.5 million deal.
Yep.
And was stalling on it.
Yep.
And now he wishes he didn't stall, I'm sure, because now that's going to cost him another $1 million to $1.5 million a year.
He's going to get over 10.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the report that I saw yesterday was Hudson in the summer was willing to take less than Noah Dobson.
Yeah.
And the Canadians balked. So, okay, here's the problem here. You got 3 bargain contracts: Caulfield, Suzuki, Slafkovsky. You've got them all locked up long term. Maybe Slafkovsky is a deal that, I mean, we'll see if that pans out. But the other 2 are definitely bargains. Now you've had to pay Dobson because you traded for Dobson. Okay, you've got a Calder Trophy winner in Hudson, and you can't get players to come to Montreal. I don't care what the frig you say. You cannot get – give me the evidence that you're going to get free agents to sign in Montreal. They trade for Laine. They trade for Dobson. They don't get free agents.
But we've already just established the fact that it's going to be difficult to get free agents regardless of the situation, whether it's Montreal or not, Michael. So it's kind of like, okay, so then you take care of your own guys. We just discussed this.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, though. But he was slow on the trigger.
He was in terms of his own guy here.
Now it's going to cost him because everybody in the marketplace was saying, hey, and he was negotiating, and then it stopped. And that was a mistake.
And that was the error. But I mean,
the Sabres made the same error with Tuck.
These are things that Kent Hughes, again, he is still how many years into the GM job right now? A few years. These are things that you learn.
3
years.
3 years, yeah, 3 years. But but really, he's the face. Gorton is the guy, sort of. I mean, I think they work in tandem, but I think Gorton
is the agent. So that's a mistake of an agent. So, and that's going to cost them, and it's going to cost the Sabres too, because at first I thought that Tuck number was high, but we didn't know what was on the horizon for all these other players, and that's why the Sabres now probably are going to lose Alex Tuck, because if they don't meet that number soon, that number's going up anyhow.
Well, okay, for he's going to turn 30. He's 29 right now. He's going to turn 30 during the season, I believe. If he's asking for an 8-year deal, I mean, that's signing him to 38. He's never going to play to 38. So you're paying him for years that are not going to be there. Eventually, it's either going to be buyout or it's
going to be a different owner by then.
Well, maybe, you never know. I mean, but I look at this and say that this is the price of poker. And if you don't pay it, fine, then be prepared on March the 6th to trade him, because you'll get a good return, because there's not going to be much out there in terms of, he could be an impact winger for a team that's competing for a Stanley Cup, especially at a cap hit of under $5 million. So, but you cannot, and do not believe he has any no trade protection. You cannot do a Mitch Marner. You cannot.
You can't afford to do that.
You cannot do a Mikko Rantanen. I mean, with Rantanen, they were able to trade him, but with Marner, you couldn't trade him. So. And
what did they do? Did they send Musty back? Oh, Musty's on the Sharks. Never mind.
Sharks. You mean Murtka?
Murtka, that's it.
Murtka's in Rochester.
Some player with an emphasis.
Yeah. Which is bizarre, because he could have gone back to the Western Hockey League. They haven't played any games in the AHL, but they sent him back. They sent him to Rochester, and he's a defenseman. And you usually do not
send job for a defenseman.
Yeah. So now he hasn't played any games there. Maybe they're just like, okay, we'll give him a couple days down there. Maybe we'll give him a taste, and then send him back to Seattle, and he's going to go to the World Junior. I mean, that's
he needs to kind of like take some steps, because he's a big guy that has to get stronger, and you don't want to foul those steps up. The other thing is, we'll talk about a couple of the rumors quick. Bowen Byram, Mike, it's still out there. Like, I think they're going to trade him at the deadline. I can't imagine he's signing there, and he's going to be in his walk year next year. So, he signed a 2-year deal.
Yeah.
So next year will be
his walk, but he'd be eligible for an extension on next July 1st.
Right.
But this is Darren Ferris we're talking about, and based on what our buddy Steve Dangle said on the previous show, what kind of a snake he is. So, do I think he's going to sign in Buffalo? No, of course not.
You might as well get him traded, so if you're a team, you get him with some term at least.
Right. So I mean that right. But I think it's all going to depend on what the Sabres do. If they're in competition for a playoff spot, then I think they'll keep Byram until the summer.
Right.
If not, then it's now it may not be Kevin Adams that's trading him,
Right.
but it may be Jarmo Kekalainen. But
Right.
You're in a situation where you're at risk of losing him for nothing, but not, you don't have to be held hostage because you've got another year. But
Right. But the thing is, like, if they trade him this year at the deadline as opposed to next year at the deadline, you get a lot more.
right. I mean, it's this and a year.
Right.
It's
It's
teams.
less than the year. Yeah.
It's two playoffs instead of one.
Right.
And-
if you only get him for the one,
Right.
and they don't think they can sign him, you're getting a diminished value.
And maybe that team is a team that he will sign with. But again, with Darren Ferris, he likes to take his players to market. So more than likely, wherever he goes, it's going to be a 2-year deal, unless he gets blown away. But let me just bring something up about the Sabres as well. We're waiting for Kevin Allen,
Mhm.
and we'll be doing some season preview here. The Buffalo Sabres are starting the season with Alex Lyon as their number one goalie because Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is hurt. And there's Kevin. We'll talk about this after.
Okay. It's a good bedtime story.
Yeah. Hey, Kev. We're live.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Kevin Allen of Detroit Hockey Now. How are you?
He's up against the
Great.
brick wall here.
Up against it right now. I get it. Well, the Tigers are up against it. That's true.
Oh, they really are. They're in trouble too. And, you can tell when the announcers start talking about when the Tigers gave up a run in the second and they're thinking, oh boy, they're in trouble now. Like, you can't get a run. Well, they can't
Right.
get a run. They're struggling to hit. But
Well, when
you know-
when you're starting rotation for 3 games in the series against the Toronto Blue Jays, can't keep it under an ERA of about 30.
Yeah.
That's also a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now they might face a bullpen game because they're afraid to use Scherzer or Bassett. But we'll see. They should use Bassett.
yeah, I mean, honestly, the Tigers would have had trouble if they got to a 7-game series because they'd have to have bullpen games in 2, maybe even 3 of those games. They really only have 3 starting pitchers.
Yeah, see, that part would be tough. But Kev, let's talk about the new NHL season.
Yeah.
We already talked about contracts, but I guess I'll hit on the first thing, and I could not ruin my prediction, but basically say, listen, the Florida Panthers are still really good, and when you look at the team and you watch them play, yeah, they're missing some players, but I still think they're going to go pretty far, if not all the way.
Well, I mean, what do we usually say about teams when they're trying to win, either a second or a third title is that they need some, another layer of motivation, and now they have it. I mean, no Kachuk, no Barkov. I mean, those are, big time players. And now I think that's the message that's the coaching staff is sending out there. Let's show them that, we're more than our 2 top players, and they are more than their 2 top players. And, as long as Bobrovsky has a good season and everybody performs the way they did last season, I think they'll be okay. And then we'll see what happens. Anything. I mean, it's easy to forget that they went to a Game 7 last year too. If they don't win that, now that we wouldn't be talking about them as much. So
I remember.
Yeah, you certainly remember. Yeah, Mike. But I believe in the Panthers. I think Bill Zito has done a remarkable job in building that team. It really has caused me to kind of rethink. And, I've had a conversation with both George McPhee about this and Bill, just the idea of, the draft. Just in this league now with this many teams, you just can't build through the draft. I mean, it's a part of it. It's a component and, a key component. But, you got to do it the way the Golden Knights do it and the Florida Panthers do
It's getting
it.
harder, though, now with the contracts because the
Yeah.
cap's going up. Teams are losing fewer players.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
draft picks are currency, Kev. I mean, they have their place, and prospects do have their place. You can use that to trade for players. And we were just talking before you came on. I mean, with the cap going up, the problem is here, everybody's going to have money. The question is, which teams are going to actually spend it? And the problem is now that there's going to be less and less free agents. We've seen the bulk of the 2026 free agent class drop off the face of the planet in the last 4 days.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I think everybody's going to spend it. I really do. Like there's no indication, and I've talked to people about this, that, it's not going to be business as usual, which is, the reason the cap is, this is the point I make to my readers, is the reason the cap is going up is because revenue is dramatically up. So,
Right.
These teams that are getting the larger cap, not all, but most of them also have had significant increases in revenue. So I don't see, maybe a couple of teams will not go to the cap, but I think everybody will. So, there'll be some spending, and, the beneficiary will be the players, because, and we're already seeing, the Kaprizov contract, excuse me, and even the Eichel deal. We knew he was going to get a big ticket, but, he probably got an extra $1 or $2 million. Just based on what Kaprizov did. And then, everybody understands that what McDavid did was an aberration, so you don't even count that. I mean, he's really a $20 million player now. If Kaprizov is, where he is at, that means McDavid is, close to 20 million. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, to be sure. But draft picks are currency, but I wonder if we get to the point where and this could happen. And instead of saying, giving me 2 seconds and a first, they're going to say, no, I want, a prospect who's close to the NHL.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why they can't demand that, and we'll see what happens. But
they can.
Yeah. I mean, more and more teams certainly are now understanding that the draft is very, very difficult. I mean, essentially, when you get that second or third round pick, you're just getting a dart, an extra dart to throw against the dartboard. And I just by coincidence, yesterday I was looking at the 2020 draft. So it was 5 years ago. And just go to the second round at Hockey Reference in that second round and look at what the statistics are of those second round picks. It's amazing how few guys from that second round, and even the bottom of the first round, just have had either little impact or no impact.
The counterbalance the counter to that, though, is, again, it was COVID, and you had a lot of, I think, developmental disruption.
Yeah.
But again, if we carry it forward to, obviously to 22, 23, and 24, we look at those numbers, and that's probably where we need to look at it as well. But you're right, Kevin. I mean, it's second and third. Again, once you get into those later, those mid rounds, it gets dicier.
Now I'm going to be the guy. I'm going to be the guy that says the Detroit Red Wings have a 7th round pick on their first line. They do.
They do. Absolutely, they do. But I think they now they haven't completely gone quite as far as I've gone. But I did talk to one of their executives who, when I went through my spiel, he said, "You're not wrong." They get it. They've seen all the statistics now that's coming out, and they've looked at that. Now, saying all that, the fan base thinks, they're not doing well because they aren't getting much help beyond the first round. But now, like as you said, with Emmett Finney, and they got lucky. Like they know it. They know they got lucky, but he's got to play on the top line. And we'll see what happens. But
Kev, they're finally. It's like the patience of Steve Yzerman. We've talked about that. He's going to overcook his prospects. That's the Red Wing way. But he's facing a situation right now where I think he's got to win. He's got to get in the playoffs, or his job might be in jeopardy. Maybe I'm wrong, but. You're seeing Sandin Pellikka. You're seeing a lot of the other. They're not rushing Kosa because I don't think they think he's ready. But there's a lot more of the young players that are going to play this year than have played in the past few years. And I think there's reason for optimism because of that.
Yeah, I mean it is complicated this year, and by that I mean this: like he is doing what the fans want. The fans have wanted that. This now gives the Red Wings with the addition of Sandin Pellikka and also Brensig Nygaard. They now have 6 Yzerman first-round picks. Now, there's no question that Yzerman has done well with his first-round picks. Everybody who has come up has had a significant impact. And, you know, I point out that last year, Marco Kasper, who everybody said, well, he won't score. Well, he did score, just below 20 goals. But more importantly, he had 186 hits. Okay, so he played you know, sometimes on the first line on the wing, sometimes at center, and he got 19 goals and 185 hits. Well, that's a pretty significant player, and so they're getting all that. But even though Yzerman is giving the fans what they want, he's really not responding to that. He's really doing it. He felt like these guys are ready. Now, this goes against, as Michael accurately pointed out, the way he's always done business and what Ken Holland did his business beforehand, where they like to say, I like my prospects overripe. These guys are not overripe. You know, Finney has played one season, and Brensig, Nygaard, and Sandin Pellikka came and played a few games at the end of the year in the NHL.
Yeah, they were overseas, so
yeah, they were overseas, but you know, they weren't playing North American hockey. But there's a lot of excitement about these guys. Brensig Nygaard has got an NHL body and an incredibly gifted shot.
Yeah.
And I'm predicting that even though he is starting on the third line, which I think we all thought he would because he has that physical element to his game, I think ultimately he'll play in the top 6 just because of his shot.
Yeah.
And Sandin Pellikka, you know, he's just smart. Like
he's very, very smart, smooth with the puck, great skater.
Yeah. He's just a lot of fun. And to be honest, I think Danielson would have made the team as well had he not been injured. So then they would have had a 7th first-round pick, you know, on the team. And you know, it would have been, you know, like they made some painful cuts. You know, not from the fans' perspective, who were happy to be.
No, but from my perspective, it was actually quite pleasurable because the guy that I said was a complete bust as a free agent signing, they waived him. And by the way, the Red Wings lead the league in hyphens.
Yes. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, but people are giving hyphens where they're not warranted. Okay. Sandin Pellikka is not hyphenated.
Right.
No. It is
but
not.
Nygaard is.
Yes, Brensig
and Bernard Docker.
Bernard Docker.
Yeah. I mean, it's in Detroit. He's Nygaard. I'm guessing. You know, really, the pronunciation of a guy's name is whatever Mickey Redmond calls him.
There you go. That makes sense.
And he's Nygaard to Mickey. So,
he's going to say more than anybody, so that makes sense.
That, you know, the problem is, you know, they're doing this and it's exciting and ultimately it will pay off for them, but I'm not sure it will pay off this year. Like, you know, I think the odds makers kind of have it right. They say it's about a 30% chance that the Red Wings will make the playoffs. That seems right to me. I think the more likely they're not going to make the playoffs. You know, you look at that division, like I always look at it like, who are they going to replace? I think Ottawa is solid. I think they're going to be there again. You know, Montreal, will know more about them. We see them Thursday. But you know, they could use a number 2 center, but I don't think that they won't find one. They'll get somebody in there. So.
I don't say this with any particular glee, wink, wink. But if there is a team in the 8 that made in the Eastern Conference that will take a step back, I do think it's Montreal, because remember at the end of the year last year, Montembeault and Dobish stood on their heads. They made it by what, a point?
Yeah,
they had Dobson now. They didn't have Dobson last.
They didn't have Dobson, but they still don't have a number 2 center. And I mean, I think Columbus is probably better with their young guys that are a year older, but I don't know whether, you know, guys like Monahan are going to play as well. And they have goaltending questions too.
Yeah, Ted Graves, we don't know.
Kev, the percentage in terms of playoff possibility for Detroit and Buffalo was about the same. I think it was like 35, 38%. I think it was Money Puck had him in the 30s. And I look at that, and I from what you just said, I don't see who falls out to allow these teams to make it. Buffalo is starting a guy that Buffalo is starting Alex Lyon in goal, and Alex Lyon is probably going to be their goaltender for most of the month of October.
Here's the big thing for me. I mean, Detroit is Gibson now, and I think Gibson still has a lot to show, lot to give. But Kev, Steve Yzerman was dreadful at the deadline last year. Just dreadful. May have been the worst.
Didn't do anything really.
Yeah.
So, and in free agency, it was a struggle. Now, I don't blame him for free agency. Essentially, they never really had a fighting chance because everybody was the landscape was preordained before we even got to July 1st. To be sure. So all the guys that they had targeted, they really didn't even get to talk to. And then simply, who wants to play for a team that you don't know will be in the playoffs or not? And I think that's where the Red Wings are now. They got a beautiful arena. They've got a strong history, but their team right now, it's surprising they've managed to keep Patrick Kane because he's still playing at a high level, and
he wants to play in the Olympics.
Yeah, he wants to play. He wants to play in the Olympics, and I think he's got a decent chance. But he's not a given. He's probably like the Red Wings. I mean, the U.S. has a strong team.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if he makes it. But the Red Wings' problems are going to be similar to what they had last year at 5-on-5. And can they sustain that 27% power play from last year? I don't know. But getting back to Montreal, I did want to make this point because Russ made a really good point, I think, when he said they do have Noah Dobson. Well, this is how I feel about Dobson. If the Red Wings had Noah Dobson, they would make the playoffs. I just feel, that all of a sudden now their defense, with Seider and with Edvinsson, and then add Noah Dobson.
Yeah, that would be big.
Do we all?
If he can do that for the Red Wings, he can do it for Montreal. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Do we all see Dobson in this case? Because I've heard back and forth from different people that I've spoken to with regards to Dobson as to whether or not, he is that level of a difference maker on the blue line. I get that for a lot of times, and some of this obviously might be coming from those who are covering the Islanders, but the fact that there's like a missing edge to his play that keeps him potentially from being one of those true number one, number twos, and if he doesn't, deliver, that's going to be a real difficult thing for Montreal here in trying to make the playoffs again.
Well, I've seen him a lot, and I think he's good. In Detroit, he would be 4, and I think as a 4, he's just outstanding. So,
well, I mean, the problem with him in Montreal is the fact that him and Lane Hudson overlap. They're not exactly the same, but they're both offensive defensemen, and you can't have both of them on the power play. So they're going to have to make a choice.
Well, you can have them on.
Use Hudson,
you can use them on separate units.
He gets 5-on-5. He will get 5-on-5 assists. I think the biggest thing that hurt Dobson last year was no Matt Barzal. Without Barzal on the lineup, they were missing a lot.
Montreal's got a lot of players up front that they can, I think, get to be able to be offensively productive and have a dangerous power play. I'm looking overall at Dobson. I think he's good. It's interesting how I've heard you get a lot of back and forth with regards to what Dobson truly is, Kev.
Yeah, I think we'll see this year. That's what I think we'll see.
Kev, I don't know whether you made predictions for Detroit Hockey Now for the playoffs or for the Stanley Cup. I mean, everybody does it around this time of year, and it's basically not worth the paper it's printed on from anybody. But what are your feelings first from the West and then from the East?
Well, from the West, I still like the Oilers, and now with what happened and what transpired, where they now know truly what their window is with Connor McDavid, because he clearly is saying to them, hey, show me, surround me, give me a real shot here to win it all.
Before I leave.
Yeah, get me a goalie, do something. And I that'll motivate him. I really do think so. So, Stan Bowman will have to go out and he'll have to be aggressive and find a way and show, Connor McDavid. So I look, I think they'll have a motivation again this year. Everybody will want McDavid to stay and they'll work at it. And I thought it was a brilliant move by him.
Yeah, and they signed Ekholm today for $4 million and Wallman for $7 million. So they locked up their defense. But I mean, I don't know. Do we want to go around the horn here about who were picked in the West? I will stick with my prediction that it'll be the Dallas Stars. I think Vegas will beat Edmonton in the Pacific, and I think Dallas will beat Vegas because Vegas has Mitch Marner on their roster, and Mitch Marner is playoff cancer. So there you go.
I know for me, I keep saying Dallas, and I feel like it's like the 2000s when I used to constantly pick the San Jose Sharks until they broke through, and I feel that way about Dallas. But I'm going to agree with Mike in this case. I do think I think the Dallas Stars have a lot of motivation. Again, I'm going to be very curious to see how they perform under Glenn Gulletson. It's going to be a fascinating, change going from Pete DeBoer. It's tough to pick against Edmonton, but I feel like 2 deep runs in this case, and you're trying to get a third one in. The motivation's there for Edmonton. So if it isn't Dallas, I think it will be Edmonton, but I think it's between those two.
Unless they get the goalie, I just don't see.
I think I think that's something that they're going to be looking at pretty closely this year.
The way I look at it, I think it's going to be Vegas and Dallas. Excuse me. And I'm going to take Vegas because I think they're getting Carter Hart and they can give him time and he'll probably get back to a certain form and he'll be better than Aiden Hill. So, so I think Vegas will beat Dallas.
It depends on the goaltending. If they get Hart and Hart is able to play close to the level he did before, obviously he left before he had to leave the Flyers. That's possible. I think that is entirely possible.
Okay, in the East, Kev, who are you going with?
I'm going with your favorite team. I'm going with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh, that's great!
At least from you, Kev, I know that's not being done as a curse, like someone we know who used to do that.
No, it's not. I just think, they had it was like a cleansing breath. This whole Marner deal, and now we don't have him to kick around anymore. So let's just get down to the business of getting things done. And they were a good team last year. I think they're still a good team. There's a lot to like about them, and I don't think the East. Like I like more teams in the West than I do.
I think we all do. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I really like Dallas as well. Vegas, I'm a big Vegas guy as well. I mean, I just think they do things right. The team that I think no one's talking about that I really like, they may be a year away, but I really like the Anaheim Ducks. Like for me, drafted.
Yeah, I think they're a year away. I think Calgary may make the playoffs and do something.
So I think the East feels wide open to me, particularly with how Florida has had the significant injuries, like the Rangers don't seem to be a factor to me, and usually they are. I mean, they got.
I don't think they're a factor this year.
No, I don't either. So
can Carolina finally break through?
No, because they still have Kochetkov and they keep going to Freddie Anderson in the playoffs.
Everybody, the odds makers really like them. I just don't believe in them yet.
I
want to believe in them, but I just don't. So so that's mine. I'm going with Toronto.
Okay. Well, okay. Go ahead. I was gonna say I like the Devils better than Carolina. I think I don't like them to win the cup like John Tortorella, but I think they'll make the conference final, and I think Florida will beat them in the conference final. I think, because I think they'll get somebody back by then, and they'll get better. And I do think that the Devils are going to be that team that it's like they'll either be third or second, but they're pretty loaded. They'll have cap space, and I think if everybody's healthy, like they haven't been the last couple of years, I think they'll be a more of a force.
Here's the dirty little secret, because we saw today apparently Alex Pietrangelo was put on a season-ending LTIR, meaning he cannot come back for the regular season or the playoffs. The Florida Panthers did not do that with Barkov.
Nope.
So, and now that means if they had done that, they would have gotten the full $10 million of his salary to operate with, instead of him to get like.
They also know, and I feel like with some of the recent developments and things that have happened here with Barkov, I think the 6-month window may be in play here for him to be back.
Right, and they also Anthony get about it's like $3.8 million of cap space by putting him on LTIR instead of SE LTIR. Yeah. So that $3.8 million, Kev, mark my words, it's going to be spent on someone.
The Tigers are up 4-3. They just hit a homer.
It's going to be spent on somebody like Evgeny Malkin. Or if Sidney Crosby wants to go someplace. I don't think that's going to happen, but that Bill Zito will work his magic. Kachuk's coming back in January for the Olympics. Barkov will probably be back, and he'll do a Kucherov or a Peter Forsberg and come back in the first round of the playoffs. In spite of the psychic bowel movement of Mitch Marner not being in Toronto, I think it's going to be Florida again. So I pick for Florida, Dallas, and Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, I wonder about that decision. I shouldn't even comment on this because I'm not a medical expert, but we've seen if it's true that he has both an ACL and an MCL.
Yeah.
If it's true, like coming back in 6 months, that sounds.
I agree. Yeah, I think.
And even if he does. What's he going to be like? I mean, I say this to people all the time. When you have a significant knee injury or really a significant injury of any kind, yeah, you can come back and play, but you're not the player a full year. So I don't know. I mean, they know more about it. They're closer than I am. But
see. I mean, we'll see how that plays out. But Kevin, we're going to let you go. This way you can watch your Tigers.
All right. I appreciate that.
Okay.
I'll be happy to do it again.
All right.
But we'll have you definitely. Thanks, Kev.
Okay. Anthony,
let's get your pick.
I was going to say, I'm going to get my East pick in. So it's
definitely to be able to watch the end of the game.
No, absolutely. I understood. Yeah, to me, it's kind of a toss-up between Florida and Toronto. I think whoever comes out of that second-round series will be the Eastern Conference champs and probability on the Stanley Cup chance, because actually I think if Toronto ends up getting to the final and plays Dallas, I think I actually think Toronto could beat Dallas.
So you're picking the Maple Leafs to win the Stanley Cup? Is that what you're doing? I want to make sure of this.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay, Cinesilo. No, but I
can't handle it.
Yeah, no, the thing is with Florida, I think Zito will make a move. I think the thing that nobody's talking about, we mentioned him before, and the thing that they can't replace is that Bobrovsky starts to falter. He's 37 years old. If their fallback is Tarasov, and he's I don't think he's
a big drop off.
Right. So, if
anybody in this circumstance would have been a potential drop off, we would have said Anthony Stolarz would have been.
Right.
Well, again, one of the things that Florida does have is some substantive defensive depth.
Yeah.
Right. Rally around the goaltender, and in some ways make the goalie look even better than you might think he would be.
Yeah.
They can't get by with Tarasov.
And I have to say that I think Toronto's starting six on the blue line is the best starting six they've had in about 20 years. I mean, it's
really, that's one of the reasons why I think that's the two of them meeting in the second round is once again is to me the true Eastern final.
But it's a very distinct possibility that Florida is going to be a wild card team, because
that's what I think is going to happen, and that could be a problem for Toronto. That's
right.
But I do think if Toronto wins the division, which I think.
Well, I picked Tampa Bay to win the division. I think Toronto's
Toronto, so that's why I'm getting the pass. Yeah. I think there'll be a Florida.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one either way, but all right, we're down to the food take. So in October, what comes around and to all of our areas are Malamars. So I want to see where you stand on that. Do you like them? Not like them? I've always liked them.
A long time. I can't even. It's been so long. I can't even remember what they taste like.
Wow. It's like a s'mores, except it's not melted, but it's the same ingredients.
It's like that, yeah. But I honestly, if I wanted a s'mores, I'll just
sometimes jelly, sometimes not. Yeah, but s'mores is a lot of work. You got to put. There's no work into this. You just have to get them at the right time.
And I got a little portable fire thing that I can.
Let me know when you do s'mores next time. Let me know.
Dude, we do it all. We've done it plenty in this house.
Okay, all right.
Just enjoy it. Well, they're a little older now, but
next time you do it, let us know on the show.
I honestly think, Russ, and you're gonna probably laugh, I've never had a Malamar.
Wow.
Never. They were not big around here. At least
we just killed this food take for Russ.
Yeah, you destroyed it.
Got nobody to compare it with.
Now the question is, do they make pumpkin spice Malamars?
No. Thank God they have not changed it, other than just there are some like European companies that make them that have jelly in them, but otherwise it's no jelly. All right. I think you guys need to eat some. That's what I think.
I'm trying to behave.
All right. That's it. That's it for Off the Post. We'll catch everybody next time.
Take care, everybody, and enjoy the hockey.